Conversations with Iris. Here's your host, my loving wife, Iris.
Hola, mi gente bonita. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Iris, where real talk meets healing, truth, and of course, some of that great old heart. Now, listen around here. We don't just surface level chit chat, we just don't do that. We go deep with that lovely sazon and that pizzazz and that Latin fire vibes. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like your voice wasn't made to be quiet. Your story holds power and it deserves to be told for sure. And of course, I got to take a moment to show some love to our incredible listeners just tuning in from all corners of the world, okay? You all make this little podcast that could just keep on rising. And I just love saying that. I got to start out with Ghana, West Africa. Thank you for bringing that soul, pride, and rich culture heartbeat. I just love it. Followed by Toronto, Canada. Thank you, y'all, from vibing from all the way from Canada there. And of course, my sweet island family from Trinidad and Tobago. You bring that carnival spirit every time you hit play. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what? You could be anywhere, but you're here with me. And for that, I'm just so deeply grateful. Let's just keep growing this community one heart, one truth, and one conversation at a time, which is what really matters. So listen, go ahead and download this episode because I've told you guys 1,000 times. Because you know what? That's what really counts in the podcast world. And you already know, keep the fan mail coming. Mi gente bonita. It just fuels my mic, my mission, and my soul, of course. Also, and hey, before we get started with today's guest, I just want to make sure to let you guys know you got to definitely check out my extended podcast family over there at the Short Desk Podcast. They're wild, hilarious, and full of heart. So please do not miss them. Now, I know that I have to tell you guys about this wonderful guest that we have on the table. I just don't bring anybody here. Our guest today is a multi published, faith filled author, a dynamic TED speaker, a solo mama out there, and a purpose driven powerhouse who has taken her deepest pain and just transformed it into that thing that we called purpose, okay? She calls her life the journey, the 38 triple D journey. And listen, before your mind goes left, let's be clear here. I'm not talking about titties, people, okay? Boobs or the tatas or anything like that from Victoria's Secret. So don't get it twisted. This triple D stands for something deeper. We're talking about disability, divorce, and death. Yes, through it all, our guest is just a survivor and she thrived. She found grace, her voice, and her mission, and now she's helping others just do the same. So please give a warm, soulful, and sassy welcome to the incredible and wise Michaela Cox. Welcome and bienvenidos to the Conversations with Iris.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and have a good conversation that hopefully equips and empowers others as they go through their own journeys and navigating life and the twists and turns that often come with it.
I know. It's crazy the curveballs life just throw
Yeah,
your way, right? Just
yep.
a hot mess for real. So
hmm
I so I know you lived through what you call the 38 triple D life, okay?
Yep.
And those D's though they do run kind of deep there. But I have to ask, if you had to describe your mindset this season using just one word that starts with the letter D, what would that be?
Letter D. Determined. There we go.
Ooh, I like that. See, that's deep. And I like that because now we know what we're going to get into and we're starting to learn a little bit about the woman behind the mic. That's beautiful, Michaela. Because you know what? I believe when people hear your why, your walk, and just your words, they just don't understand your story. They're going to feel it. So let's get started with the root. Like, for those that are meeting you for the first time, who is Michaela Cox in your own words? Not just the bio, but the woman, the mama, the soul behind this journey.
Well, I know y'all can't see me, but if you could, you would know I'm a redhead and I'm a Southern Texas girl. So I got that Southern grit
Woohoo!
and a little Scorpio. So, a little sass. And the personality that tends to go with it precedes itself. So yes, I live up to that reputation. As we get into my story, you'll see a through line of I don't usually do the word no very well. So pretty much telling me
Oh,
no usually means it's a guarantee it's probably going to happen. So that word determination and dedication and diligence and perseverance and tenacity and grit and persistence, perseverance is very much
yes.
a part of what has gotten me through that journey of 38 triple D, along with faith and hard work. So anyway, if that it tells you, yes, and I am a solo mama to two, and I do write, and I like have lots of interests. So in a nutshell.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, being a solo mama, let's talk about that. Tell me, how is that behind the scenes? And let's get deeper after that about your 38 triple D journey.
Well, for one thing, it's busy. It's always something, and I'm always working on something. Like I did some work on my new project in August. I worked on another business today, and I, got on pod match, and so all the things. I'm always doing something, and I'm usually never just doing one thing. Lots of fish to fry, or juggling the balls
Yeah.
and wearing the hats. So anyway,
Yeah.
but in around here we're wrapping up summer. I don't know where your audience is coming from or where you're coming from, but
They're
I'm in
everywhere.
Louisiana in the South, and it's hot, and we're trying to get in those last amazing summer days before school starts. So anyway,
Yes. Yeah. So, where are you located at?
I'm in Louisiana.
Oh, so you definitely know about that muggy and humidity.
Well,
Where?
I also
Ooh.
said I was a Texas girl, so Houston.
Ah!
So you're gonna get it no matter whether you're in Texas or Louisiana. It's the same.
I love it. So we're over here in Central Florida and we know
Oh,
all about heat, okay?
yeah, you do.
Oh my God, we know about heat. And Texas heat is a little bit different now, I'm not gonna lie. But Louisiana, my folks over there, you guys just have that harsh, muggy type of what do I call
Depending
it? Just
on
rough weather too.
what the humidity, depending if you're in West Texas, it's more dry, but if you're in East Texas, it's the same as Louisiana. So it just depends on what
Mm.
part of Texas you're in.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And I just love that. And again, where did this 38 triple D? Because I know some people are like 38 triple D. I mean, I love it how you broke this apart and you created disability, divorce, and death. That's deep. That's
Well,
very, very deep.
it's deep, but it's a good, accurate way of summing up I'll be 47 in November, so I'm fixing to share my age. I was born in 78. A lifetime of things that I've, knocks at my life's door that have made life interesting. I was born with a totally blind, and for my background of being of the Christian faith, we believe in my family that I was granted my sight at 7 months old. So I do see, and for the outside of those first initial 7 months, the remainder of my life, so what, going on 46 years and 5
Yeah.
months, excuse me. I'm not the best at math. That's why I stayed on the liberal arts side of campus. Give me the sociology, the histories, the Englishes, and all that jazz. But
Yep. Yep.
I've had limited or impaired or legal blindness. So that's the first one, the disability. And then, I did all the things, grew up, high school, college, got out of that. I met someone, got married. That didn't work out the way we thought it would. So the
Oh,
divorce at
wow.
26 and '05. And
Mm.
then not long after that, I met an amazing man, the love of my life. And we were together for almost 12 years. And then he passed away in 2017 when I was 38. So the death. So there you go.
Yeah.
And my kids at the time were 6 and 3, and I was 38. So I am and was a military widow, and we were living up in New Hampshire, which is where he finished his career. And I was raising kids, and then I found myself in an unexpected major bottom dropout, kind of pull the rug out from under you life twist turn that changed everything. And then we moved back to Louisiana, where a lot of our family is. So that's why I'm in Louisiana, following all that.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing for 8 years, is figuring life out after that and navigating all of it.
Oh my God. So let's talk about the disability part of it.
Mhm.
Let's unpack that in totally blind. Wow.
Well, initially for
Okay.
a short time period. But most of my life, I would probably say, if you I don't know, I'm not a math person, but probably 95 to
Neither am I. It's okay.
yeah,
We have an understanding.
yeah, 99, minus 7 months, whatever percentage that is of 47 years, I'm legally blind or visually impaired, having to navigate everything that comes in life, different challenges at different stages and phases because you do different things, right?
Yeah.
And so, we could talk about social issues, we could talk about academia, we could talk about professional, we could talk about, juggling life, raising kids with a disability, all of it really. It impacts all of it. So it's always been something. And I've never not had life without it. Like I'll never have a day where I see through. When I say normal, I'm not meaning,
Yeah.
what's normal, but I'm meaning anatomically from a medical, physiological, what would be defined as healthy, normal sight. I'll never have a day where I see through normal eyes, what
Wow.
would be considered normal. So I don't know what that's like. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys see any more than y'all know what my jacked up, perfect, amazing, complicated concoction sees either.
Ah.
Uh, it's complicated, but you figure it out. If you can't move the mountain, then you find a way around it, or you go under it, or over it, or through it, or whatever, and or maybe catapult yourself over it. Whatever it takes. That's the thing. Like I said, through faith and determination and hard work, I was raised with the attitude of you don't give up, you don't quit, you don't stop, you do your best, and you figure it out, and you get it done, and do what you got to do. So.
Mm. And I love that faith, determination, and hard work. I love that you said that. And after you talked about your disability, and you mentioned how you got divorced pretty early. It sounds like, and then you after that you discovered that you guys were compatible. How was that divorce part of your life after we move on to the death?
Well, it wasn't that we weren't compatible. We were compatible. There were choices in the mix that made it no longer a viable marriage on his part that involved internet issues
Okay.
of addiction, of
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to be, I don't want to be TMI to your audience, but it's rampant in our society that, what people look at on the internet. I'm trying to be delicate. I hope y'all are figuring out what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so it led to issues in that more intimate aspect of marriage. And he made those choices, and I wasn't willing to stick around for Act Three. And I said, "Adios.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
wow.
not
W-
going to work. I'm not going to abide in this." And so I left. And I started life over again, figuring out what I wanted for me, because I'm no longer a we.
Mhm.
A lot of what comes with what you think you're going to get in marriage, or what you do together in marriage, or the life you have, or whatever, it doesn't happen when you split or get divorced or whatever. And so you have to figure out your new direction. And then
Correct.
that involved happily ever after with my second husband, the love of my life. And then when he passed away, I had to figure out once more again. I was there in the same spot of, well, what now? And okay, what do I want now? It's not the same way, but kind of back where I started in a way, but for different reasons and totally different ball game. I mean, I never thought I'd be in the position to compare divorce to death, but believe me, when I thought divorce was hard, grief and loss ain't got nothing on it.
Mm.
And then for me, back to the divorce thing, before I forget to answer your question, I was raised in a Christian household, as I mentioned, and my parents
Yes.
last November, so 2024, been married for 50 years. Like our family, we don't get divorced,
Right.
So my generation, nobody in our family got divorced. My mother's parents were married for 28 years before he suddenly passed away, and my dad's parents, I think, were married
Oh.
for 38 years. So you don't get divorced, right? But in my generation, we have two that have been divorced. So I do believe it was for scriptural and biblical reasoning, but that's a whole nother conversation in my case. But and you
Mm.
don't want to do that. You don't ever expect to go to the altar, get married, and say, "Oh, yay, let's get married.
Yeah.
We'll be divorced in 3 years. Yes, let's do it." No one does
Yeah.
that. Okay, it's not a thing. But things happen, and people make choices, and it was no longer something I was willing to accept, and I didn't think I should. And so, after trying many things and giving it my best shot, I was like, "I'm done." And then I
Mm.
walked away and I started over, and I found my new path, and that involved my husband and having two kids and moving to New Hampshire and all the things. And then I moved back to Louisiana following his passing. But probably where this conversation is going to lead. What did I do to get through all that?
Yes.
I learned a
And
lot of it early in life, because when you grow up with a disability that kind of affects every aspect of your life, you kind of figure some of that out. Well, let me back up. In life, we can either be survivors or thrivers, and we can choose to not overcome or overcome. We can choose to be victims or victors. We can, all the different verbiage, whichever one you want to pick. Now, once you make that choice, then that determines what needs to come next. And
mm,
it's not a question of if you'll get through life without just um, adversity or trials or tribulation. No one gets out of this life unscathed of some sort. Everyone's going to have something to deal with. It's more of a question of when, how many, what kind, and to what degree. So then it becomes, what are you going to do about it? Are
yeah.
you going to accept it and say, that's it, I'm done? Or are you going to and be defined by your circumstances? Or are you going to choose to say, you know what, this doesn't get to define me. I'm going to define it for myself and make it be what I want it to be. It is what it is, but I get to decide what to do with that. And so it becomes a choice. Now, once you make that choice that I'm going to do what I want to do, despite what's been thrown at me, despite the deck of the hand I was dealt, per se, overcoming is overcoming is overcoming. Yes, every obstacle in adversity has its own um, aspects to it that may require you to do something a little bit different, but the choice and action and process of overcoming is very much the same no matter what you're overcoming. So the things I learned to do as a kid with my disability, I was able to go, oh, okay, to get through this divorce, I'm going to do the same thing that I already know how to do. When
Mm,
I lost my husband, oh, I already know what to do. I'm just going to do the same thing I did after getting divorced and living a life with a disability. I just may have to tweak it and apply it in a different area. So it's kind of like muscle memory.
yes.
So a lot of these things I learned, I didn't word it the way I do now, but I learned them when I was young, navigating a disability. I have come to say that it's finding grace through grief, or the 5 keys that someone needs to navigate the knocks at their life's door when things come knocking that you have to overcome. And I'd be happy to walk you through that if you're ready for that. Or is there other questions we would like to discuss?
Yes, I would love for you to walk our listeners through that. I definitely want to also touch base on the different books that you have written before we get into that. But without further ado, please walk us through that. That would be great for somebody that's fighting some type of battle similar to what
Yeah.
you went through or out there.
It is called, in this case, because it does, the when I coined this and came up with the verbiage in the last couple of years, it is coming from a point of grief. But like I said, you'll see as we get into it, you can apply it to different things. The
Okay.
first one is grounding. The G in grace is grounding, having a foundation to hold you up, to steady you when that life storm comes, to give you something to have a stronghold, to know what you believe in, know your purpose, know your why, that steady you, that motivates you to keep going when those hard things come. Knowing your why is extremely important. When I lost my husband,
Mm-hmm.
it was, I put all my energy into my kids. I mean, I always did, but even more so now, because I was the only parent and I knew I had to focus on them.
Yes.
Whatever the circumstances, you may have a different why. It may be your family, it may be you have a dream you want to accomplish. Whatever that why is, let that be your grounding that holds you to stay, to do
It
what you need
holds
to
you
do when
up.
it's hard. Yeah.
Okay.
For some, it's family. Some, for me, obviously, a huge part of that, my foundation is my faith. But, find what, I'm so sorry. I don't know what my daughter is going on about.
It's okay. This
I
is
told
real
her,
talk. I love it. It's okay.
I told her I was fixing to do this, but apparently I don't know. It's 15-year-old, okay, or soon to be 15-year
It's
old.
okay.
Anyway, that you're grounding that holds you through all these things, such as life storms that I've talked about my own. And then you get to the R, and then that is being redeemed, um, re, um, restoration of what's broken, and then when you find that, being daring to not be defined by it, like I said, and defining it for yourself, and daring to be your own designer and say, you know what, I'm going to chart my own course.
Mm.
I'm not going to take what they say. My parents were told, this a good example is this, my disability. Like I said, I was born in 78. Granted, we don't have all the answers in medicine now, but back then, this side of almost 50 years ago, they dang sure didn't have the information that we have now. So it was dark ages. And I'm a medical fluke per se, as far as there's no family history of my particular vision issue. I mean, after you get over 40 or 50, we all have reading glasses in my family, but
Yeah.
not the lifelong complexities, syncrasies of my particular concoction of vision that caused the disability. So I was a fluke. No one knew where it came from, why it happened. They didn't
Yeah.
understand why I was blind. They didn't understand why
Mm.
I was seeing all of a sudden. And so therefore they didn't know what it was going to mean. They didn't know, well, okay, what is her life going to look like? So they made their best, I guess, educated medical guesses and estimations and told my parents, well, she may not be able to do this, or don't expect her to do this, or whatever, you know. And then I said, really? Okay, you sure about that? Let's go. I don't know how to express it other than this expression I heard is I basically say, hold my beer and sit back and watch, or your iced tea, or whatever you said.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
so I didn't accept that. So the R is I took those circumstances and I said, I'll define it for myself and I'm going to chart my own course. So being your own designer and knowing, figuring out, okay, I have the situation I've been given. What do I want to do now after this or during it or whatever? And then that takes you to the A, and it's the abundance. Okay, I'm not a financial girl. It can be in finances, but I'm not your girl for that conversation. I got my own broker, okay?
Yeah.
I'm talking about learning to live in abundance mindset and the unmeasurable, immense values that the power of our mindset has of influencing if we're going to stay true to that choice and that course we want to take. There's a reason
Correct.
why we say mind over matter, and if you put your mind to it, you can do it, and if you don't, you don't. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. If you don't, you don't. You're not going to be able to do it. So
Yes.
it, being an ownership and taking captive and managing your mental thought life and your mental space and owning and having good healthy mental space to keep you on track to the path that you want to do and being able to pursue those choices you want that you're grounded in. And then you get to the C of choosing care and clarity over chaos and confusion, which is basically about self-care. I really feel like these all could be individual conversations, but the importance of self-care and what that can do for you when you are having to get through something and taking care of yourself so that you can do all the things you need to do for whatever you're doing it for, whether it's your work or your family or your kids or your whatever. You know, I talked about how we're all wells, and if we're empty because we're always giving out our water to everyone and we're not putting water back in, we're going to
Mm.
dry up and then we're going to be useless and can't do anything that we need to do. So we
Mm.
have to make sure we're refilling our cup and refilling ourselves and refreshing ourselves so that we can give our best version to the ones in our lives that we love and that we are having to take care of.
Mm. And that means like you're talking about you said care and clarity, like taking a moment to, like you mentioned, refill up the cup. Does that mean like take a mental break, go on vacations, do
Yeah, it
something you
could be
love, right?
anything. Self-care is very broad because it's about care of oneself, and because each of us are our own oneselves or individuals. Okay. I have my own version of self-care. I respect the mess out of people who run and do marathons. I ain't your girl, okay? My version of self-care, the only time you will
More
see,
power to them, right?
yeah, more power to them, but it ain't me. You'll see me run on a treadmill away from a dog, across the street, and away from snakes. Okay, that is the only time you will see my buns running. Okay,
Yep, same here.
so now my version of that is hanging out with my girlfriends, having nice drinks over Mexican food and girl talk and spa trips and travel and the beach and chocolate and spa and listening to music and
Netflix.
journaling and meditating and, you know, writing and a little bit of a confession, insane amount of ridiculous amount of TV at night. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
no
my
shame in
version.
that.
That's my version of self-care. Okay,
I agree with you.
we all have to find our own, and that's what makes it so broad and so great. But the point is, as long as you're doing something that fills your cup, it will not be the same as everyone else because you're different, which makes life fun and interesting. It's not all vanilla and boring and blah. Who wants to all be the same? So you have to find your own, and it could be, maybe you need self-care in your physical life, like you want to be exercising, you want to work out, and you want to run that marathon. God love you. Knock yourself out. Maybe you need to do the emotional self-care, and maybe you need to do the mental break. Maybe you need to
Mm.
get out and unplug and uncharge, or maybe you need to enjoy time with your friends. Whatever that is that fills your cup, there's get it, and make time for yourself. We are good at scheduling. We make our appointments. We have our date books. We have our day planners. We have our weekly timesheets of scheduling things. Schedule a date for yourself
Yeah.
and
We
get
all
that
need
self care
that.
in there. Yeah. So that's what the C is about, because I believe that when you are caring for yourself, you're going to feel refreshed and not overwhelmed and not frazzled and not burning yourself at 3 or 4 or 5 different ends of the candle and just totally drained and wiped out, so that you can have a good healthy mindset to keep up with all the things and stay true to your choices that you want to do, that you're grounded in, that's your purpose. Okay, so it
Mm.
all very much goes together. So that's why I think self-care is so important. I was not always the best at it,
But it's
but
important.
it is, and I learned in grief I better do self-care, because it can make the difference between keeping your head above water or not. Real easy.
Yeah.
The dishes and the laundry and the to-do list and the checklist and the errands and the whatever, unfortunately, are not going to be magically disappear just because we want them to. I promise you, as much as we may not want to hear this, they will still be there after your
Yeah.
30-minute power nap.
They never go away.
They don't. They're going to be happily patient waiting for you. So go get that coffee date, go out with a friend, go take a nap, go, I don't know, Zumba, whatever you do. The other stuff will still be waiting. You can take care of it later, and you'll be in a much better mind space and feel refreshed to do all the things that are calling your name and wanting you to come back to address, whether you want to or not, and wish they could vanish, but they don't. So
Mm.
then that leads us to the last one, and the E in grace of being equipped, essentially equipped for the journey. Okay. This one I think is hard for people, because they're like, I don't want to, for whatever reason, they don't want to ask for help. But it's really not what people think it is. When you're in school or you have kids in school, what do we tell our kids, or we were taught to do? When you got a question, you raise your hand, you say,
Ask.
hey, what's up?
Ask.
I want to
Ask.
know. I want to
I,
learn. I want to
and I
understand.
and that's so true, because like my manager, I had asked him something today, like I needed help on. He's like, asking you shall receive. That's so
Exactly.
easy. Isn't that the truth?
Yes. So you're just getting what you need. So, I mean, like, okay, I like to travel, right? That's part of my self care. But I promise you, even though I don't drive, I'm not going to get very far if I don't have someone pick me up to take me to the airport, or hop in my friend's car, or get to the train station or whatever. I'm not going to go very far. I'm not leaving my house, right? And that car isn't going to go very far if there ain't any gas in it. And if the tires don't work, or the engine, or the what, I'm not a car person because I don't have to be. But all those things. And usually we like food, people. So we need food, we
Yes.
need drinks, we need a place to stay. I don't think you want to stay on the street in the elements. So the point is, when you plan a trip, you need stuff, and you probably want to have some good Romix, to have some jam, to have a good old time in the car or wherever you're flying to. And you need clothes. I mean, most places don't let you walk around nude. That's usually not
Right.
advisable. So the point is, all you're
Hmm.
doing when you ask for something is getting what you need, and that is no different for when you find yourself in situations in life. You're just asking for what you need that allows you to get the care you need, or accomplish your goals or your dreams, so you get to live out the path you want, that is, you're grounded in your purpose and your why. And a big part of that, this is part of the reason why I learned it so early, is because of disability. When you are disabled, or you help the disabled, advocacy and or self-advocacy is a huge piece of that puzzle, because no one's going to do it for you. I promise you that. The world don't owe you
Mm.
a darn thing, so you better do it your dadgum self.
Oh my goodness. And I love this, and I want to thank you again, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You mentioned that these items right here. We're talking about grace. These items right here help anybody through grief, but
Yes,
also through other tough
correct.
moments in life. And just to reiterate for our audience members, grounding, redeeming, abundance, choosing care over clarity, how important,
Well,
equipment.
choosing care over chaos and confusion, so you can have clarity, is actually what it is. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Being equipped and then redesigning your path. So, yes, it does help in all situations. It's just I wrote it in the context of grief, but it does help in other situations, because I used it after getting divorced. I used it my whole life with my disability, and I know it can assist empowering and equipping people to overcome whatever they're facing in their own journey.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, Michaela, that is awesome. And you have written multiple books, I believe
Yes.
9 books in total. I mean, that
14.
is awesome.
I think I'm up to 14 now, and I'm working on other ones right now.
Wow, that is awesome. I
It's,
mean, you speak so
it's
much about
scary.
going from surviving to thriving, and thriving doesn't always look like sunshine. What does
No,
thriving look like for you on one of those hard days?
I think sometimes, and it can look different on different days. Sometimes it's the small saving graces of like, I need a nap so I can do what I got to do afterwards. Like, I need rest. Or maybe it's I'm doing a lot of things. I love it when I'm productive and efficient. It makes me happy. So, when I'm getting the things done, or when I got to, there's a lot of aspects that go into thriving. And a lot of times it depends on when you look at what I attributed to thriving. How does the individual, I can promise I can talk, individual person defines it for themselves as what they consider thriving. Maybe doing really well in school. When I was in school, that was thriving for me in that season, because I was doing great in my academic life. I professionally, I'm on a lot of podcasts. I'm publishing books. I'm
Yes.
working other things.
TED
That's
Talks
thriving. TED
too.
Talk, right? So, and with my family, thriving for me is when we're doing all the things we're supposed to do, and we're having a good summer, and we're traveling. So it just depends on what you're talking about and how someone defines it. Like, just like with success is often defined differently from person to person, so would be thriving and what you love and what you like and what you're passionate about. But
Mm.
yeah, so that's what it's about for me. And a lot of times it's finding the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing and living out my purpose. So,
Mm. And Michaela, as we begin here to wind down, just this beautiful exchange that we have going on, I have to ask, you said that you have another book in the works. We want to
mhm.
know what's next on the horizon for you other than the book that you have coming out.
Well, right now, currently, this is what happens with my brain. I'll be writing one thing, and then like I look at it, I'm like, oh, that could be a whole nother. Oh crap! Okay, here we go again. Really? Can I get through with the first one first, please? Like, stop. It's a good problem to have as a writer. I promise. It's much easier to deal with that than writer's block. But it's just annoying when you're trying to get through one project before three come at you. You're like, ah. But
I know.
when I was putting together a resource bundle for what I'm doing in the fall, I realized how long it was. I thought, wait a minute, this could be a whole nother book for solo parenting who is going through grief and loss as well. So I'm writing that manuscript right now, and then like I said, I'm building out 6 series, and there will eventually be 7 and 8. So each year I'm trying to build out the next book in all those series. I am starting with the material I wrote for Finding Grace Through Grief, which is the
Yes.
5 P's we went over today, and the GRACE acronym and analogy, and embracing grace to help you, be equipped and empowered to overcome what you're dealing with. Um, I created a study and a course that I'm launching for a certain group of people I opened up to, and hopefully to grow into a ministry over the next few years of helping people who are dealing with grief and loss that I'll walk them through. And so I will be doing my first group of that in August. So I've been prepping materials
Wonderful.
for that. And then I'm writing the next book in that series. And then once I'm done writing this book, I'll be going back to the series on faith. I'll have to write a book in that series. And then the Now
So
I
you're
See series,
busy. I love it.
motherhood series, the parenting series, the We the People series, and then the teen version of the Faith series. So I have lots of manuscripts to be writing over the next several months to launch in 2026, along with working to establish Finding Grace Through Grief as a program and helping others.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I want to thank you so much for bringing that up so our audience members could definitely check you out and follow you. But where can our audience members find you, follow your work, grab your books, or support your speaking, writing, and everything you're doing in the world? Where can they find you?
Right now, I do have a website, but I'm having tech issues with it, so that's why I'm not providing it. But all of my books currently are on Amazon, and I hope to branch out in other markets at some point, but they are all on Amazon right now.
Thank you so much. And again, Michaela, I just want to thank you and thank you so much for being here and sharing your 38 triple D journey with us and turning that pain into purpose, tribulation into you really a testimony. It's just beautiful.
Well,
So
thank you for
definitely
your kind words, and I'm honored to have been here to share with your audience. I
yes.
hope that it provides some value and hope and empowerment to people who are going through whatever that they may be facing, and that they can figure out how to navigate it.
Of course. And before we wrap up, I do have to ask, I have to add this in
Okay.
there. If you could plant one seed of encouragement into someone's heart today, what would it be? Someone that's going through, carrying something silence and are afraid to speak up. What would you say to that person?
On that one, I would have to say, especially particularly to grief and loss, I often tell people that grief and loss is a very hard journey. It's a lonely journey, but and you feel like you're alone, but you're not alone. You don't have to travel it on your own. And that give yourself time and space and to be um, gracious and kind and gentle and give yourself much grace in this hard season to be able to navigate it in the way that is right for you, and don't worry about what anyone else says you need to be doing, because it's you and you that are having to travel it. As far as a more general thought process, I always say that life is short, there are no guarantees,
Hmm.
and so choose well and define it for yourself, and in your choosing well you can live your best life so that you'll thrive in life.
That is beautiful and that's deep. You all be sure to follow and support and just stay connected with all the things that Michaela Cost basically put out there for us. And thank you for putting this out there in the world. Michaela, thank you once again. And for those that are listening and trying to find their way through the storm, I just want to thank you for listening and tuning in today. If this episode touched something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, sit with it, and let it work with you. And as always, this isn't a goodbye. It's just until next time. Michaela, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Con mucho amor, this has been Conversations with Iris. Thank you.